How's it, everyone? Today's guest is Gia, the founder of SakSak, an authentic South African bag brand that is absolutely taking the country by storm. In just a year and a half, SakSak has tripled in size, growing from 6 to over 30 employees in only 8 months, and has done it without losing the heart of the brand. This is a real story of growth, grit, and building something that actually resonates with people. I'm really excited to share your story with the world, Gia. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yo, I don't know. Where do we start? Maybe tell us the cliff notes on how SakSak actually came to be, because it only popped up on my radar last year, November. I was at an event, Entrepreneur of the Year. I was one of the judges, and all the judges actually got one of your gifts. And as I picked it up, I was like, this is actually very cool. And I saw suck.suck, and I thought, that's pretty cute. And then I went on the website, and I saw you've got plant.suck and a couple of other things too, and I thought that was really, really cool. And I think you reached out to me on Instagram. You saw something that obviously resonated, and you started a conversation, and I thought, hey, let's share your story with the world. You've got a beautiful brand. Congratulations on the growth. Can maybe give us the cliff notes on how everything started?
Thanks, Jandre. So the journey really started, I've been manufacturing bags now for about good on 6.5 years, and about 3.5 years ago, with the whole Shein and Temu coming into SA, I had about a 60% drop in sales. And I was pretty deep in debt, and I needed to dig deep and think of something that would just blow people away. So I actually went to a Carmish Makers show in Blauklippen. I walked around, and I mean, there's beautiful artisanal products, amazing entrepreneurs making beautiful things. And I didn't find anything that truly made me feel or resonated South African. And I got in the car, and I was on my way to pick up my son from school, and I thought, well, if someone like Veldskun can start a brand Skun, can I not start something with the name Sak? And I quickly Googled and, to see if anybody else was doing it, and nobody was doing it. And I reached out to a friend. I said, I've got this idea. And he's like, oh, yes, what's your idea this time? I have a lot of those. And I'm a very creative person. And he said, well, why don't you do SakSak? Because people say, ja, nee, Afrikaans. Afrikaans people like to,
Yes.
double barrel some certain words. And I got to the factory the next day, and I said to myself, I've got this amazing idea. And I pulled this big whiteboard out, and I wrote Lipsak was the first bag I wrote, and then I wrote Skoon Sak. And Babette, who does the embroidery in my factory, she's got her own section there. She said, I have an idea for a side bag. So I said, well, what? She said, a kantsak, because we couldn't put kruislichaam sak across the bag. It was just too long. And I sat with my team, and we looked at the fabrics, and we looked at what would be sort of earthy and South African. We chose a capri fabric, cotton fabric, which comes in all the earthy colors, beautiful. And we just started mapping out the brand. I reached out to a few people, and they were like, okay, this could work. And we quickly started a website, and we posted, I think, the first 5 or 6 bags. And within the first 2 weeks, we had our first 5,000 Rand sale.
Wow.
On the SakSak bags.
Cool.
So we thought, okay, well, if this works, and then I entered the Carmish Makers show, and we actually won the first new upcoming brand, and we've won quite a few awards through the show. So there must be something to it. I don't know.
Well, that's my question, right? You've grown tremendously over the last 4 years. 4 years exactly, right?
Yeah, just over 3 years.
Okay. And what do you think is the recipe that is contributing to that growth? What is the reason that people feel so inclined to buy from you? There's many bag brands out there. So my question is, what do you think is the differentiator in the market that's getting people to go, I want to spend my money with this brand as opposed to another one?
I think it's very unique. I think it's different. I think people look at a bag and they automatically know what the use of it is. What I love most, I mean, we've got a few pop-ups, and very often I'll pop in to go chat to the staff, see what's happening, and then you'll see people will walk past, they'll stop, and they'll look at a bag and they'll start smiling. And they almost feel that nostalgic, that feeling they got maybe as a child. They had a specific Skoon Sak, a little toiletry bag, or they had a lip suck, or the kantsak does. I mean, it's the one that gets the most
I mean,
reaction.
if you're English, then that can be hilarious, I suppose.
Well, it depends on what you think.
I suppose. Yeah.
So it really is. I think it's authentic. It's different. It's unique.
There's an emotional connection.
There's
on
an
the
emotional
first
connection. Yes, I think.
encounter.
Yeah, and it's that stopping and staring and smiling makes people it's that warm fuzzy feeling they get when they see the bags. And a lot of our bags that we've brought out now are people will write us an email and say, I had a bag as a child, it looked like this, and then we'll often name bags based on that or a design. And also every bag we design has a lot of thoughts gone into it. So we've just recently launched our Safari Sak, and it's a bag that something that looks like you would take on a safari with you. So it's that nostalgic feeling, and I think that's why people like our brand.
I love that. And I think the two things that stand out is, or the two emotions actually is more of kind of like a humor and as well as nostalgia. That is maybe the two core components that get someone to want to give it a second look, because that's what's so difficult to do today, is to get someone to pay attention. And attention costs a lot of money today if you have a brand that doesn't naturally create that level of intent. So I think you've done exceptionally well in creating two fundamental emotional pillars, one of humor and one of nostalgia, that gets people to stop and pay attention. But when they do stop and pay attention, what do you think they see? Like, is it could it be quality? Could it be the design? Could it be, what is the actual, we've spoken about what makes it unique. And I think it's that emotional connection. But a good brand and a good product goes deeper than that. So I'd love to know, from a quality perspective, are you guys doing anything different? Is it more, I don't know what the features would look like. I'm not a SakSak expert or a material expert, but maybe I would just love to understand what makes it maybe different from a quality perspective. Is there anything specifically?
Absolutely. I think I've got a great team that supports me. I've got an amazing production manager, and I'm very proud to say we've had, out of all, I think we had in the last 8 months, we've had just over 1,000 orders, and we've had 3 bags returned.
Wow.
So, it's maybe a little bit of stitching has come off, and it's human. It's a human factor. It does happen. We've had amazing feedback, people saying, or customers saying that they love the quality of our bags. It's not something that if you import from China, it's a total different quality. We have a 3-point check. We check as the bags go through production, in the middle of production, at the end of production, everything is checked and double checked, because we don't want comebacks. We want our customers to be 100% satisfied with the product, because if they are satisfied, they'll tell the next person about the product. And I did a quick check this morning. We've just hit a 17% return customer rate. So
beautiful.
That's good. I think we're doing something that's making people say, okay, hey, good quality, and something that people need and people want.
Yeah, so for context, for those watching and listening, I think a business that's, I'd say, under 2 years, a 17%, 15 to 20% rate is where you want to be. So you're literally on track. Well done.
Thank you.
And I know this by heart because I've seen the growth of many, many businesses, and we obviously have some of our own that we own as well. And I think in year one for the fragrance business, the health and beauty business that we have, both of them were around 15%, under 15. And then from year 3, it started getting 15 to 20. That's most likely what you're going to experience. Also, depending on the amount of products you've got. And I think that's something that you've done quite well, but it could also probably be a double-edged sword. It's like going horizontal with the amount of bags that you stock and the amount of offerings that you have. That can also eat up into your cash flow and make growth a little bit harder. But coming back to the retention rate, I think the more variants you stock, the higher the probability of someone buying a lip suck and a cunt suck or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
Was that the thought behind it?
Yes, absolutely. And I think, if I may add to that as well, Jandre, for me, it's number one is exceptional customer service. That is, it's non-negotiable. My staff know. We often will get a customer, I think once or twice we've had a customer do a review. I think it was a 4-star or 3-star review. And I pick up the phone, I'll say, hi, I'm Gia, I'm the owner. I see you gave us a 3-star or a 4-star review. Is there something that we could improve on? And they're, no, it's nothing too big, but can I, I asked them, can I please give them the opportunity to actually fix it and to almost want you to give us a 5-star review? And 10 out of 10, they'll go back and give us the 5-star review. So
wow.
I think it's a combination of quality, customer service, and you have to be on it. There's so many bag brands
Absolutely.
out there. You have to be different. You have to stand out from the rest, because you want people to talk about your brand. That's your best asset.
If you get that right, I think you're going to get into the 30% returning customer rate, very quickly in the next 12 to 24 months. One of our businesses is actually now sitting at 40%. And that makes growth so much easier, because I think a lot of people underestimate what growth looks like. And there's 2 ways to grow a business, in my opinion. It's like you have to find new customers, but you have to bring them back. You have to get people to spend more money with you. And so many businesses have mediocre quality, and therefore they get new customers, but those customers don't come back. So now you're in the cycle of just looking for new customers every single month. And if you don't have a healthy repeat customer rate, obviously that growth can't compound. When people come back and you stack new customers on top of the people that are coming back, that's when growth starts to compound. So that's definitely a focus that I would recommend that you guys keep, doing.
Well, that's the goal, hopefully. So, but yes, so this year we are focused. We've just sort of done a massive increase on our expenditure on social media, and it's already starting to pay off. We can see
Beautiful.
People are commenting. We are bringing out quite a number of bags in the next 6 months, another 5 or 6 different designs, because you have to be on top of things. You have to be ahead of the game.
And you feel going broad with all these different offerings is the way to go, as opposed to just focusing on what's working and doubling down on that? Because those are two philosophies that people have. One would always say, go as broad as possible and offer more. And the other one would say, listen, focus on what we've got and just perfect that and do more of that. And I mean, how do you find the balance between those two?
Like you say, there's two options. I think the difference is that people want more names with bags. People are, all of a sudden, they want baby bags. We've just recently launched a leather range. But I find people want more. They want different bags. They want, because there's wallets. There's so many, opportunities with bags and designs for bags are just endless. And so far, we haven't had any designs that we've dropped. Everything's kind of worked. Maybe some sell slightly better than others, but the bags all round sell.
Question, and I'm going to put you on the spot. When you say we find that people just want more, how do you objectify that?
Well, I want to give my customers what they want. I want a happy customer.
What is the objective data and metrics that you look at to come to that conclusion?
I think I look at the amount of comments we get on social media, and people say, listen, I've bought a squint suck, a lip suck, a cunt suck, and a may suck. I'm looking for this bag. No, I'm looking for that bag. So people buy the collection. I think that's the big thing now. People start with one bag and they slowly go to the next one. I've, for example, got one customer that's ordered her 4th order this morning, and she's ordered in the last month. So I'm listening to what my customers want. I think that's the most important. And yes, we will probably drop some bags at some stage, but like I said, everything sells at the moment. So if it's selling, why change it?
So the takeaway there is you looked at qualitative data, right? You said,
Yes.
I can see people commenting and they want this. At what point do you go, well, that's one comment out of probably 1,000 customers or 100 customers. How do I know everybody's going to want that? Like, how do you objectively go, this is now the time to do this? We have the cash flow for it. We have, I'm assigning a specific marketing budget for it. Quite curious to know, at what point do you decide to do another range?
So we have obviously pop-ups that we have in different stores. And when we come up with a new bag, we put it in the store and we leave it there for about a month or two to see what the reaction is. And that's basically how we base our bags. We can roughly see the sales, and the comments. Or my staff will chat to customers and say, listen, this is a new bag, what do you think? And then they'll say, we absolutely love it. And then they'll either buy it or they'll come back and buy it later, or they'll buy it online. So maybe it's the wrong way of doing it, but I do want to hear what my customers have to say. And I think there are so many bag brands, as mentioned before. You have to be better. You have to think smarter. I've already got SakSak is trademarked, and I'm busy with a situation now where a specific company has started a brand called Balsak. So now it's, we have to be, so we've also got a Balsak, but our Balsak is better. We have the original Balsak. So you have to, I hope that answers your question.
No, it does, and it's beautiful. I think, what you're saying is there's some method behind the madness sometimes. And as a business owner, we're always part of the madness. And I think as much as it looks like from the outside that we've got shit figured out, in the daily, it feels like you're in the middle of a storm. And I think from what I can tell is like you've got the qualitative feedback with your team who's very in touch, and they've got their fingers on the pulse in terms of the market feedback and what people want. And I think the other takeaway is that when you do launch something, there's a method behind testing if people actually want this. And that's very cool. I want to go back to the early days. You mentioned that, in the first 2 weeks, we sold 5,000 Rands worth of bags, and that's great. We had our 5,000 Rand order. What happened after that? 5,000 Rand came into the business account.
It was like, oh my goodness, you could pay debt back.
So that's my question, right? 5,000 Rand came into the business account, and what was the next steps that allowed you to scale the way that you have? Like what was the couple of steps that you've taken? And maybe just give us like the cliff notes in terms of the different maybe stages or different things that you've done that's gotten you to where you are today.
So I mentioned about just over 3.5 years ago, I was literally on the bones of Mars. Had a lot of debt. I was at a point where I had to go to my staff and say, listen guys, we're on a 2-day work week. I can't go home, have a warm shower, have a nice meal, and then know that my staff are only working 2 days a week. They got families to feed, they got to put kids through school. And when we started mapping the SakSak brand and we saw that it was working, I was able to get I actually went out and got a short-term loan just so we could just tie us over. And that kind of gave us the bridge to go, okay, you know what? We know what we've got is something special. And then from there, I put, and again, it was a risk. I put a lot of money out there and I said, right, let's make stock, let's get stock levels up. And then it sold. And then, we were able to make more stock. So it was a process. It wasn't an easy process. I've been making bags for 6 years, going from almost losing the business to starting a new business within that business that's busy failing. I suppose a little bit of luck as well, maybe a few doors opened. I don't sleep at night. So my brain was continuously thinking about ways to, how we could go out. And Look, to be honest with you, at that point I surrounded myself with a really good accountant, and I started getting my business right from the get-go.
Oh, so that's so good to hear that. Well done.
Thank you. And I've got an amazing mentor. I can't mention her surname, she'll kill me. Her name is Jean. She started her business a few years, 20 years ago, backyard farm in Elgin. And she's been mentoring me, and she's kind of helped me. We had a few spitball sessions that we spoke about how to do it right. And I think SakSak was my third business, real proper business. And I think the fact that I started doing it right from the beginning has helped us grow it and scale it to the point where I'm ready for the next
It takes
challenge.
a few before you get it right.
Oh, geez, Louise, it takes plenty. Third time lucky, I'd say.
Exactly. Well, there's a reason we called version 8.
Oh, is it? Okay, so eighth time?
Well, it kind of feels that way, yeah. So there's a lot of people who've got great quality products. You know, they're creative, they masters and artists at their craft when it comes to putting products together. You've done that, but you've also been able to put it into the market and tell people about it. And that's the number one superpower a lot of businesses don't have. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what to do. So my question to you is, you put these products together, you started seeing more sales. What did you do to get those sales? Like, you had to do something. You didn't just put it on a website and hope for the best.
No. So, you have to advertise. You have to take money. That was the one thing I learned about what John taught me is you need to have a marketing budget. You need to have a budget. You need to forecast your budget for the next year. And, it was that first step of putting 20,000 Rand down to, for advertising spend. And, you need to I had to get a social media team because I'm not social media apt at all. And we had to put money down. And then we started seeing the sales come in, and then we were able to just increase it a little bit more. And then every month we just did a gradual increase, and to the point now we're going to probably triple that. So
Nice.
It's a process.
Yeah.
It's a marathon. You have to take baby steps. You have to crawl before you can walk and then run. And I think, advertising, especially for a up and coming brand, even though it's overlooked marketing, you need to have a small marketing budget. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. I think if you look at the e-commerce space, people are spending a lot of money to get their ads out, for people to see what their products are about. And what I love most about the backup team that I have is we've done a few commerce maker shows. We just did a last one last year, and especially in mainland. And SakSak is still new to the Gauteng area. Obviously, people in the Western Cape know about us. And so many people came up to us and said, oh my goodness, I see you on Instagram, or I see you on Facebook. So we're doing something right. We are reaching the right people, but now it's sitting down and saying, right, how can we increase that reach? How can we look international? I'm busy speaking to a couple now. They want to take the brand to Germany, Belgium, as well as Holland, because they think there's an amazing market for it there. So yeah, I think we've got our work cut out for ourselves this year, but I do want to triple this year.
So, you said a lot, and I think I don't want to diminish, a lot of the valuable points that you've made, because you've spoken about a few things. I want to ask one question, and we'll unpack this further. You mentioned Facebook, Instagram. You mentioned you had a marketing budget. My question to you is, where did you spend your first advertising dollars?
I'll have to phone that guy and chat to him, a marketing specialist.
Where do you think?
I think Instagram was probably the one place, because we've had most feedback about
Makes
people
sense.
seeing our product on Instagram. I'm in my 40s. I'm not quite sure how all this social media
just curious.
works.
Just curious, because I think the reason I'm asking is because there's a lot of people watching, listening, who's probably got a product and they want to advertise and they don't know what channel to start with. And I think in the fashion space, I think Instagram is a great place because it's a visual format. People think Facebook's got the same visual capabilities, but it doesn't. It's a bit more cluttered. It's got news updates and articles and a bunch of other stuff that you probably is not that visually driven and appealing. And Instagram is that platform. Initially, it was created for photos purely, and essentially that has stuck to the essence of the platform, which is this visual effect. So fashion, food, lifestyle, luxury, all those brands usually do really well. And I think it was just when you said Instagram, whether it's right or not, I would believe it's the right answer because it would make sense, because it's a visual, fashionable, appealing product. People buy with their senses. So they go, oh, wow, that looks beautiful. I can envision how it would sit on the cunt of me.
It's on the side.
So the point I'm making makes complete sense. And what channels are you advertising on today out of interest? Is it still just Instagram? Have you expanded?
Instagram, Facebook. We're starting to go onto TikTok now.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah, absolutely.
Google Ads.
Yes, we have. There's a bit of a glitch with our Google Ads, which we're trying to sort out. But yes, that is something we did. I just found that the ad spend was, it was just racking up, and my conversion rate dropped radically. So so that's something we are going to discuss in the next few weeks to see how we can.
I would highly recommend you do that. The reasoning for that is that you're targeting intent. You've got a brand, people are looking for it.
Okay.
Obviously, you'll be able to capture that intent, but there's also a lot of other brands that you might be competing with that is essentially very similar to what you do. You might be better than them, and you can just put those keywords out and get people to know about you a little bit more. The point I'm making is that you can target intent. Remember, on Instagram and Facebook, you create intent. And TikTok, great for awareness, but you have to do so much more of creating the intent because people are there for purely entertainment. Google Ads, on the other side, people already have intent. So it's a situation where when you then put your bag in front of them while they're searching for a bag solution, there's a good probability that the conversion rate should be healthy. If it's not, it's just a question of what are you doing wrong?
Yeah, maybe we should have a meeting about that. I wasn't happy with the conversion rate. We had actually at one stage gone from about 2.83 all the way down to 0.5. It was like...
And you changed nothing on the website?
No, it was a concerning, and I just said, look, let's just stop that right now. But I mean, that's something we should probably look at.
Yeah, things happen. But the point I'm making is it would make sense that is a good channel to experiment with. TikTok is great for awareness. You can get very cheap awareness on TikTok. It's just you might not see the sales there as much as you would see on Facebook.
For me, TikTok, the way I see it, is just more for the awareness.
That's what I'm saying. You can break even and probably make a bit of profit on TikTok. But the point is, I almost see TikTok as this supporting play. And it's a nice way to create awareness at an affordable cost. And there are many brands who do it very profitably. But I think for most, it is quite hard unless you've got a cool brand. You tick all the boxes of a cool brand that would work on TikTok.
Thank you very much.
But selling, accounting services might be a bit harder. Or, I mean, I'm saying that, but you can really sell anything depending on how it gets carried across. That's what matters most on TikTok is how you're getting it across, because people there have very short attention spans, and you have to get them, you have to entertain them and then educate them and then essentially convert them. But yeah, from my side, very interesting. And just curious, what other mechanisms do you use to drive traffic to your sites? We've got Facebook, we've got TikTok, Instagram. Do you do email, SMS, anything like that?
We do newsletters as well, and it's very nice, especially when we're launching a new bag, when we have a special. I don't like doing sales on the website.
How frequently do you communicate with your database?
Quite often. I try and do 1 to 2 newsletters a month. I also don't want to bombard my customers too much. You want to just kind of be there, but sort of like not in their face.
Do you track how much money you generate back from those campaigns?
Yeah, we do.
Is that healthy?
Not bad. I think if we have an abandoned cart, the customers will receive an email from me addressed to them, not
automated,
to say that, thank you so much for the interest in the product. Is there anything we can help with? Here's our email address. Contact us directly.
And how many of those emails do you send if someone abandons their cart?
Well, every time somebody abandons a cart, they get
one email.
Yeah, they get one email.
That should be 3 to 4.
Really?
Yeah. So you do abandoned cart emails, which is automated, I assume. You're not emailing them.
Yes. It's
beautiful.
All automated. And welcoming and,
I'd definitely recommend at least 3 to 4.
Really? I'm not going to irritate my customers. I've had a few people say to me, please stop emailing me. And I go, okay, cool. Then
you see, passive marketing is going to get you passive results. So it's like, I'm not saying that you have to be super aggressive and annoy people, but you can do it in a way that is not annoying. So, there's people that you can be around and you can chat to them every day and not get tired of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the brand you want to be. So everybody goes, because you speak a lot, I naturally going to find you annoying. No, because there are people in your life who you don't find annoying and that you actually love spending time with. So your brand just needs to be that person, and you need to figure out what do your people want to hear and what they want to see and what personality do you need to adapt in order to keep 80 to 90% of them happy. And my guess is that you need to send as many emails as possible. However, you monitor that with your unsubscribe rate. We have a policy that you send emails until the unsubscribe rate tells you to stop, meaning that people who don't want to hear from you will unsubscribe, and you can see that as a metric. And as long as that is under 0.5%, then 0.5% is normal, no matter how many emails you send.
Okay. I think the last time we had about a 2% rate.
So I got but now the question becomes, what are you saying in those mails?
Okay. Maybe we need to relook at that. And
so
see
it's a quantity versus quality factor. And people focus too much on quantity. They assume quantity is what annoys people. No, it's also the quality and the essence of it.
Okay.
So, and in my opinion, I think that's definitely something to consider. Do you do any welcome automations? Like if
I
someone,
do.
Beautiful.
I do welcome.
Do you tell them the story of the brand?
I tell the brand, the story, how, whatever. From me personally, I just want to say I've got an amazing girl that's going to join me from the 1st of March.
Lovely.
She's going to take over all my marketing for me. She knows Shopify, she knows, because I can't do everything anymore.
Exactly.
I've got a team, but they can only do what they've also got.
Well, that's the next level of growth. You have to delegate.
So I've got a lovely girl that's going to start, and she's got she's got a great experience working for other brands, and for her to take it over and just run with it and give me, I need to know, I want the information. I want a spreadsheet that tells me this is what we're doing, this is what we can be doing, how we can improve. So that is the next step for growth, because I just can't do it on my own anymore.
No, 100%. And I think
too much.
I think that's the right decision. I think a lot of business owners get stuck in wanting to do everything. And the reason they don't grow is because they want to do everything because they want to micromanage. So you seem like someone who's quite romantic about your brand. And you should be. So my question to you is, how do you do with managing? Do you micromanage?
I used to.
Are you the bottleneck?
No,
Not
I
anymore.
used to. I also have a firm belief that you need to work on your business, not in your business. I'd say about 6-7 months ago, I took a bit of a step back, and it's been good. My team are capable. I mean, I've
Beautiful.
got an amazing production manager. I've got sales. So I was micromanaging too much, and it was difficult to kind of look at that and go, I need to take a step back.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
I was guilty of that too. So we didn't grow for 2019, 2020 because I was just too fixated on how things should be. And we are now 8 times bigger as an agency since 2021. We have built 2, 3, 4 other portfolio companies that are doing collectively over 200 million a year. And everybody wants to work on their business. The biggest feedback I can share, or the most important feedback I can share, is that when you work on the business, you need the right metrics to help you understand what happens in the business.
You're right.
So what happens is everybody delegates and then they want to work on the business, but then they don't know what's happening in the business. So then they go back to micromanaging. So the ideal thing to do is to say, listen, I'm going to take a step back from this current role and responsibility. Here's the metrics that I want you to share with me on a weekly basis, because those metrics will give me an indication of whether we're actually moving in the right direction or not. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but these are the metrics that we need to achieve. You tell me what resources you need. You tell me what tools you need. You tell me what marketing budget you need in order to achieve those metrics. And then we're going to sit once a week on a video call, half an hour. Doesn't have to be too long. Can be switched up, starting with 1 hour, back to half an hour over a period of time. Let's see if we're hitting those metrics. And that is how you get out of someone's way. You empower them. They feel empowered and they feel like they're working with you. And at the same time, they have the freedom to do whatever they want as long as those metrics are met. And sometimes business owners get in their own way because they achieve those level of metrics this way.
Yes. No, you're right.
And when the metrics are not where they need to be, they go, do it this way. But what happens is if that way you did it was 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago, guess what? That way probably doesn't work anymore.
Absolutely.
So now you start to blame the person. But meanwhile, it's just there's a new way that needs to get done. And you need to have hopefully the right person in the place to figure out what that new way is.
That's why I made the decision in December to look for someone that could
Beautiful.
come in. And because I knew it's something that I had to take a bit of a step back.
And your biggest objective would be to say, hey, these are the targets we want to meet.
Yeah.
And this is what I consider healthy metrics. If you feel that they are not healthy, tell me. If you think they need to be more or less, let me know. But this is ideally what we want to do. Do you agree? And then just let them do their thing.
Yeah. Taking a step, sometimes, new fresh ideas. And I mean, this person, she's a lot younger. So I'm hoping that it's going to bring some different ideas. But I mean, even my production manager, I'll say to her, listen, I'm thinking about this bag, design a bag for me. And they'll come and and it literally is a team effort. All the staff will stand around the table, and very often I'll walk in the mornings, I make myself a cup of coffee, and then I see them all standing around the cutting table, and they're deliberating who's going to do what and how they're going to do it. And that's what I love most about this brand. There's a lot of input from my staff, and because it's not just all me, it's a lot of people that have helped me get this brand to where it is today.
Sure, 100%. Your journey has been amazing. I think I want to just pivot the conversation a bit and less about your story, but more about how you can share the lessons that you've learned and maybe help other people, who's maybe going through the same journey. Let's start with, if it was 6 years ago, what are the key levels of advice that you would give yourself that would make sure that 6-year younger version of you could end up in the same spot or better?
It's a journey. I think we've discussed this. It's a very lonely road. Your family and your friends don't always understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I think you somehow born with it. It's this inner spirit that you have. I think the hardest part of doing what I've done is you have this idea, but now you have to take that idea and you have to conceptualize it and make it into an actual product. And that was the hardest part. And almost believing in yourself so much, because everybody looks at you and go, I think she's gone a bit off the rails. Her ideas are just insane. But it was those comments that drove me to say, you know what, I can do this. I want to do this. I have this fear of failing. I won't fail. I don't want to fail. I don't believe in success. I don't believe that people say to me, oh, but you're successful now. No, I'm not successful. You must never sit back and say that you are successful. There's always so much more you can learn. You think you know much about Google Ads. We had a conversation. You gave me some more input into it. So I think as an entrepreneur, you have to always be open to learn.
Absolutely.
I think the first 2 businesses, I was arrogant. Maybe I was a bit too confident.
Same. I had a chip on my shoulder. So my story is that I was the first South African to run Facebook ads in the country. And I'm saying that not knowing who the hell it was, but I haven't met anybody 15 years later who's run Facebook ads before me. They might be there somewhere. Maybe they're just not vocal about it. But built a business on the back of Facebook ads. And for a long time, I had a chip on my shoulder. And I always thought, I'm going to figure this out. I'll figure this out because I figured everything else out. In 2020, I got a mentor. And like I said, I told you how much we've grown since then and what we've achieved since then. And I think it's almost like the universe, God, source, call it what you want, has pushed me to a breaking point where I didn't have any other choice but just to surrender and listen to advice. And listening to you, and this is my takeaway and sharing this with the world as well, is like, if that's you right now, you don't have to go through all that pain.
No.
You don't have to go through all that suffering. Remove the chip from your shoulder, remove your ego, take magic mushrooms or something.
Go do a yoga class or
Exactly.
something like that.
And just be open to what people who are 10 steps and 5 steps ahead of you have to say. Ideally, pick someone who's 5 steps ahead of you in the same industry, the same category, because a lot of people take mentorship advice from people who are in a completely different industry, in a completely different realm. Or they take advice from people who's 20 steps ahead. That guy is a multi-millionaire and you're trying to make your first 100,000. That guy, he doesn't know what you're going through anymore because he can't. Empathy is turned into apathy because it's a situation of, how can you not figure this out?
Absolutely.
So it's so important to find someone who's just enough steps ahead in the right industry, in the right category. And those people usually have the best advice, the most valuable perspectives that can help you change your life.
Absolutely. I've been very fortunate that my first mentor is someone that is absolutely amazing, incredible. John has asked me some very scary questions. She's made me feel uncomfortable during a few meetings where we have a conversation about something, and she'll say to me, but why aren't you doing this? And I go, you're right, I should be doing this. And so I think like SakSak is the third brand, and it's something that has, and it's been a journey to get to this point. It's losing everything. I mean, it's to the point where I've got R1 million with the debt. I've got debtors coming after me. I'm not sleeping at night. My husband wouldn't help me. But it's funny. I mean, and at that stage, I was so angry with him. I needed 100,000 rand, and he said, sorry, I'm not going to help you. And I think had he helped me, I wouldn't have started SakSak. I wouldn't have gone, I mean, I hit rock bottom. I walked into work and I had these people I had to give jobs to. So I think that was my defining moment with SakSak, and just also, being lucky and spiritual. I mean, I believe in, you need to put something out in the universe in order to get it back. I mean, about when I started my first bag business, I stood in front of the mirror and I said, I'm going to be the largest bag business in South Africa. And maybe, who knows? That is my goal. I mean, I've got a very unrealistic goal, and we spoke about it. I've got goals that scare the crap out of me.
Good.
And you have to have that, because if you become complacent, you're not learning. You have to continuously learn. There's always someone out there that can teach you something that you didn't know about, either yourself or your business or something. So I think celebrate the small things, the small winnings, but never sit back. You can't say that you're successful.
So that was lovely, though. And obviously, because of me, and I apologize, we might have digressed a little bit regarding this mentorship conversation. But is there any other tips, perspectives that you want to share with anybody who's in the exact same position? They have this beautiful idea and they want to share it with the world, but they just don't know how.
The hardest thing is going to take your idea and making it into something. And I think you have to surround yourself with people that believe in your vision, because a lot of people won't believe in that vision. Many people have got ideas, but it's to take that idea and actually do something from it. That is the hard part. Get people on your team. Tell people that you are your journey. Tell them what's going on. Tell them how you feel. So I need support. And I need you guys to believe in my product. Say to your friends, please go buy my product. Don't ask me for a discount. Go buy my product, because you're supporting me indirectly.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And what I love about what you're saying, and there's this underlying level of authenticity and humility, because all the advice that you've given, if I have to, I'm a very logical person. I'd like to think so, even though I'm very spiritual and also very energy focused and intuitively driven, which sometimes goes to the opposite of what logic is. But I like to make things simple for my mind, because I just don't like complicated stuff. I'm too stupid for it. But the point is, I like to simplify things for myself. And I think all the advice that you've given has boiled down to a sense of humility. Don't have a chip on your shoulder. Take advice. Have a mentor. Listen to what people are saying. Take feedback from customers. If someone gives you a 3-star review, don't just let it sit. Find out. Like everything that you've said up until now, I don't even know if you're aware of this, but it ties to a sense of authenticity, humility. But there's a level of pride. But pride and humility are sometimes polarizing attributes and characteristics. And people who are super proud but also very humble, they become very interesting entrepreneurs, because you want to do everything the best you can, and you won't stop until you feel like you've done your best and you want to reach your full potential. But then on the flip side of that, you're humble enough to take advice and to be open, because by doing all of that, you become better and you can live up to your own potential, and you can get to your full potential a lot quicker. And those are the two things I see in you and I feel in you.
Thank you.
Is a sense of pride, of wanting to live up to your fullest potential, but also a sense of humility. It's like a catalyst, actually, to reaching your full potential. Because of that humility, you can suck in information and test and see what works and what doesn't work. Level of curiosity that comes with it. And I think that is really the nutshell that encapsulates the advice for other entrepreneurs is don't put something out in the world that you're not actually proud of making, because so many people just want to make money. Regardless of what they produce in exchange for money makes them proud.
But I think, Jandre, you must do your research as well. I mean, if you're going to put something out there, you need to know what you're selling. You need to know everything about your product. You need to know how it could fail. You need to know who's going to buy it, why they want to buy it. I'm obsessed with what my customers want, and it's maybe a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not sure. It's worked for us so far. I've also had to learn not to take things personal. So if maybe somebody buys something and they make a comment,
humility.
and you have to just go, okay, but then I'll pick up the phone and say, hi, or a message saying, listen, you weren't happy about something. How can we fix it? And they'll always say, well, wow, thank you so much. And I think that's what you want. For someone that wants to start a business, I mean, it's a very hard thing you're going to do. It's the hardest thing you're going to do in your life, because no one is going to see your vision. No one's going to believe and you have to have vision. I believe I have a vision, and whether people think it's right or wrong, that is where I'm going.
Beautiful.
And you have to believe so much in yourself that you think that you have to believe that you're crazy yourself as well.
Well, faith and belief is really the glue that manifests the reality that you prefer. And I think a lot of people think it's new age. A lot of people don't agree. But if you go read every single ancient scripture, and if you actually read the Bible properly and the Torah and the Quran, when you actually go deep into these religions and you look at ancient scripts that maybe are not directly connected to religion, like Buddhism, for example, everything ties back to faith. And, you know, I was brought up Christian, and I'd like to believe that Jesus was real, or at least 90% of his life was real, and who we think he is. And one thing he always said was, I remember the one guy grabbed onto his robe and he said, I just wanted to grab onto your robe because I knew through you I would have been healed. And he said, it's not I that healed you, it's your faith. And there was a guy whose daughter was sick, and he came to Jesus and he said, listen, I couldn't bring my daughter here because she's too sick, but I know if you speak the word, she'll be fine. And he said, your daughter's healed because of your faith. And I'm getting goosebumps because I've been on a massive spiritual journey, but the bottom line of my journey is faith and belief is really the pillar and the glue that brings everything together. If you don't believe in yourself and your ability to achieve something, or at least having faith that you'll be able to create maybe a network of people who can help you become that version of yourself. But faith has to be some part of that, whether it's faith in the ability or faith in the network or faith in the possibility or faith in the fact that it will happen eventually or during a period, whatever. But faith has to be something. And I think every single spiritual scripture agrees with that. And it's the one thing that overlaps everything. And it's so beautiful because Jesus also said, with the faith of a mustard seed, you'll be able to move mountains.
Absolutely.
He also said, pray as if you've already received it, which is a level of faith. So I think when you start to believe, mountains start to move. And I think really that's what that scripture means. It's not physical. It's really just archetypal explanation of mountains will be moved the moment you start believing. And those mountains could be barriers in your life, people holding you back, competitors, or whatever it is. But trust you me that things will move in your favor the moment you start believing.
You know, Jandre, every morning I wake up and I say a small prayer, and I talk about what I'm grateful for my life and where I'm going. And I've got a book. Every year I write my goals in there, and I go back every year and I check my goals, and I hit them every single year. And that's the thing. I mean, you have to believe it. You have to believe in yourself enough. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, when they start their journeys, they don't believe enough in themselves to be able to do it. They doubt themselves.
Yeah.
If you're going to earn a salary, you're going to only ever earn up to that ceiling. You work for yourself. There is no ceiling. I mean, you can build something, create something that is so big that, you know, you write your own check.
I agree with that 100%. But there's a lot of nuances to it. Like Gary Vee, back in the day, I used to follow him all the time. And he used to say, I'd rather be number 2 to number 40 at Facebook than run my own company. And that is obviously said with tongue in cheek. But the meaning of that is that number 2 to number 20, depending on the size of the business, is usually the best place to be because you don't have all these stresses. You don't really have to worry about the bills, but yet you have the freedom and the creativity to build within the framework that's been given to you anything that you want. So it all depends on the personality and the person. I mean, there's a lot of people in our company who don't have a glass ceiling on their earning potential because there's profit share and there's other incentives in place that the more we grow, the more they grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm assuming you're speaking to the everyday person who sits at a desk, but for example, at the receptionist, you know, your earning potential is capped for as long as you stay there. But there's definitely nuances to that. And I think I've also understood that there are E-entrepreneurs and there's intrapreneurs, I-E-N. And I look for both because you need I-entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, because they are the people who can work with you in your business.
Okay.
That will make sure that you can give them the freedom, you can give them the creativity, and they will help you build that business. But then it's up to you to look after them as well. And then you get entrepreneurs, which is external. So they're the people like yourself who I push the barriers. So I go out of the circle of comfort, E for external, out of the comfort zone, and there I push the barriers further so that we have a bigger circle where you could be an entrepreneur, which essentially allows you to then create a level of freedom for yourself within that parameter. And it's my job. I see it as my job. I have this picture. It's my job to expand the boundaries. And then it's the people around me's job to make sure that we utilize those boundaries to everybody's best benefit and the company's best interest, as well as the people in it. And in any war, you're always going to need the person in the front and you're going to need the person in the back.
Absolutely.
And I think everybody has got their role to play, and it depends on what kind of person you are. But I think that entrepreneur, I think that's so valuable. And when I started understanding that, you need to hire people who can be that entrepreneurs in your business. Those are the people that you give the metrics to. Those are the people that report back and go, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to change it. And then it's your job to make sure that you keep expanding those boundaries. And I think a lot of people think that people work for them. I'm a big believer that we work together.
I agree with you.
Nobody works for anybody. It's a matter of understanding that we work together to achieve a common goal.
I think you said a very important point. I think it's a question of, surround yourself with amazing people that help you grow your business or your brand, and give them the opportunity to kind of step up if they have an idea. Say, right, let's run with it. Even if
they can make it their brand.
Even if you think it's totally crazy. I mean, we've a few things we've done, and I said, well, I don't think it can work, but I tell you what, let's try it and let's give it a go. And 9 out of 10 times it's worked. So I'm a firm believer in listen to your people. You spend more time with the people that you work with in your own family.
100%.
So you have to get along. You have to be able to laugh together, cry together, and build together.
100%. And that's when the journey becomes most fulfilling. And I think so many people want to get to the end destination, but they forget that the journey is what you're going to be lingering and be depressed about when this all ends. And I've already come to that conclusion.
I have a question for you, though.
Go
Do you
for it.
believe in an exit plan or exit strategy?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when you will make your most money. And that's when the people around you would also be taken care of. But that's also why we started V8 Capital. I'm a big believer in building businesses with the intent to sell them.
Yes.
However, the journey of building and selling continues. I think a lot of people think that this is the only thing that they will ever build and the only thing that they'll ever sell. And therefore, they either never sell or they sell and get depressed.
Because then, once you've sold, there's nothing more that's your...
The journey is the joy. Like all the things that you're most nostalgic about today in your business journey, you will realize that those were sometimes in the middle of the most difficult things that you've ever experienced. And I remember just being 2 people in the office when we had a handful of clients and then a handful of them cancelled.
Oh no, what am I going to do now?
Yeah. There was a time when I literally walked into Gilbert's office with a glass of whiskey. We advertising people and we work with very stressful clients. So booze is always close by.
Not a bad...
But
Nothing wrong with that?
No, obviously, it's like after hours and it's been a long day and it's Friday afternoon and you're like, bro, here's a glass of whiskey. We survived another week. We're going to fix this. That's what's happened in one of our businesses recently. We were building a business and it started off well. And all of a sudden, things just went flying south. It felt like everything was falling apart. And, Gilbert and I was on the plane together and we started brainstorming and looking at all the intrinsic details of what we could be doing wrong. And 24 hours later, everything was fixed. And, we came to the conclusion of what needed to be fixed. And 42 to 72 hours later, we started growing like we've never seen before. And what was beautiful about that moment is not that it is exciting to grow and to know where you could go, but I know now how nostalgic I'm going to be about working with him to come up with a solution. So it's not the result of the solution that I'm going to be thinking and pondering about when I'm 80 years old. It's the fact that I had someone with me who was in the trenches figuring it out, and it's that level of joy when you overcome it.
The journey.
It's almost like a rugby team. Everybody on the field can have their best match, and there's one person who will knock the ball and the whole team would lose because of it. But then at the same time, every single player could play their worst match ever, and there's one person who can intercept and go and score under the post and have you win the match. And that happened to me, the latter, that happened to me. Well, both situations happened to me in my life. And that's when I realized, there's a reason why rugby players who win World Cups 10 years later sometimes become alcoholics, because they've got nothing else that gives them that level of satisfaction, nothing that gives them that level of connectedness, that level of team effort that allows you to overcome challenges. And I think that's the thing that I get excited about challenges now, because I know we're going to pull together and fix it. And I know that is one more memory that I can save in my memory bank and appreciate and nostalgically linger on when I'm on my sick bed when I'm 90 years old. Because that is essentially what makes the journey fulfilling, is the challenges you overcome and the people that you overcome them with.
It's very important. And I think what I've learned from the first business traditional that I started, that was the manufacturing of bags as well. I was living, breathing that business to the point that it affected my relationship with my husband, my son. And what I've done different now is a balance.
Hmm.
45 minutes a day, you as the owner, as the entrepreneur, what you need to do something, whether it's a yoga class, going to the gym, you have to also be an individual. You cannot be your brand or your business every second of the day. You have to be able to differentiate yourself and say, you know what, actually, I've got other things I need to do, other things. I mean, I've got goals in 10 years' time. From when I started SakSak, I have a exit strategy because I don't want to be this for the rest of my life. You have to be able to do something else. I mean, one of my fears was, if I sell, when I sell SakSak, what am I do with my life then? You need to have something else that you
I'm
you
probably
want
sure you're
to
going
do.
to think of the next thing.
Yeah, well, we're already thinking
Yeah,
about
but that's my
something
point.
else.
You see, my point is like, I think that's what I was referring to is that either people never sell because there's nothing else that is that exciting than building, and then other people sell and then get very depressed. And I think the journey is understanding that change is inevitable. Nothing is going to stay the way that it is today, even no matter how much you enjoy the journey. And the reality is, people are going to come, people are going to go. Opportunities are going to come, opportunities are going to go. Business ideas are going to come, business ideas are going to go. And I've realized it's all just seasons. And my passion, luckily, is building with the intent to sell. I love it. I love it so much. Like, there's nothing more satisfying than taking a business that's worth very little and building it into something that's extremely valuable. We haven't had an official big exit yet. However, I know for a fact that it will happen very soon because there's two companies that are ready to be sold, depending on how aggressive we want to be when it comes to an exit. And in my mind, there's just nothing more fulfilling than that. Long story short is we've kind of digressed a little bit, but I think that's valuable for those watching and listening too. I want to say thank you so much for your time. It was lovely chatting to you. You've shared a lot and your story is beautiful. And congratulations on your brand. Congratulations on taking the first step. And congratulations on not just crawling, but standing up and walking and running and starting to sprint. And that's so beautiful to see in every single entrepreneur and every single business. And also very thankful to you for wanting and being able to share the lessons along the way.
Thanks, Jandre. I really appreciate it.
Right, guys, that's it for today. Much love to you. And we'll see you next time. Cheers.